everyone, welcome to Morning Laziness. This is Diliba KS and today we are bringing to you an interview session with Miss Nikki Laycox. Morning Laziness is an online magazine dedicated to women. It showcases various articles, personal life stories and interview sessions on different matters concerning women. And today our interviewee Miss Nikki happens to be a yoga teacher and the founder of Sunrise Yogis. So let us welcome our interview. So how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. Just getting over COVID and just had a baby, closing on a house today. So everything is great.
That's great to hear. So you are a yoga teacher, and being a yoga teacher is indeed a challenging profession. So how do you normally kickstart your day?
How do I normally kickstart my day? Well, for the last at least 2.5 years now, well, since COVID started, so I guess 2 years, I wake up every morning and I make my tea and I practice yoga. But since May, I've been waking up every morning, making my tea and journaling, and then practicing yoga. So I have a pretty consistent morning routine that really helps keep stress away and keep my mind nice and clear and focused. So it's a really nice morning routine.
Right. And I enjoy journaling too. It helps a lot to keep your mind free of all the stress. It's a great way to do that.
It does.
So are you a vegan?
I am not a vegan. I go on vegans spurts, but I am not a vegan. I primarily eat a vegetable-based diet or a plant-based diet, but I do like chicken and fish, primarily fish though, because I'm trying to phase out a lot of the actual meat. It just feels better and it's better, I think, for the environment. So yeah, right. Nope, not a vegan.
Right. And I love seafood too. They are truly delicious and much better than the meat, I believe. So what did you have on your breakfast platter today?
I have not eaten breakfast yet because so typically so I just finished my my yoga practice and my journaling session, and I showered so that I could do this interview. So right now I would be eating. So after we're done with our interview, I'll eat. Okay. But I will, a typical breakfast would be something like heavy veggies. So I like to have Brussels sprouts, eggs, a lot of spinach. I eat oatmeal and cut up an apple and put inside of it. So breakfast is my favorite meal, and it's typically a pretty large meal. It's a big event. Mornings are actually big events for me. I just love them. So.
Interesting. So where are you from?
I'm from Northern Illinois originally, but I live in Indianapolis right now. I have been for the last year. In January, I sold my house. January 2021, I sold my house, and then I've taken this time for the last year to travel, and I've spent some time in Central South America. I spent 6 months actually in Colombia this year. So. I'm from Indianapolis, I guess you could say, but I'm a bit of a nomad for the last year.
Great. What is the goal you have set for today?
To make sure that I close on this house.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's a goal for today. So, but I have a full-time job that I work. I work customer support, or customer success for a tech startup here in Indianapolis. And my yoga teaching and my patience that comes with as a result of being a yoga teacher and a yogi in general really helps with that job. So my goal for today is to close on this house and have the best work day possible. I'm not teaching today.
Good. So tell us something about Yoga Cone Nikki and how did you come about building the same platform?
So Yoga Cone Nikki. So yoga with Nikki, cone is a Spanish word for with. I wanted yoga with Nikki, but there is another yoga teacher named Nikki who spells her name the exact same way, who has all of those properties. So, Yoga Nikki is simply me as a teacher, and that's how I present myself. It's not necessarily a tech platform. I do have online students, and I've been teaching in. On the island, I've been teaching here in small groups, in parks. So it's not necessarily a platform yet, but it's just the way that the brand or the way that I represent myself. And Sunrise Yogis is the brand that I have started to build. That in my opinion, well, at least for my personal practice, I recommend starting out your day in the morning before the day takes you away, before work takes you away, starting with sunrise. So starting with that practice of waking up in the morning and doing the things that you need to do before sunrise, and bringing yoga into that. So
That's great. So do you teach yoga to all age groups?
I have had students from anywhere 5 years of age up to, I think my eldest student has been 75 years of age.
Oh,
So the answer is pretty much yes.
right. So what are some common yoga postures you teach teenagers?
So I'm trying to can a warm up, and calling it 3-2-1. So I like to warm up with, of course, warming up your wrists and your shoulders to make sure that because I'm a vinyasa teacher, and so vinyasa is very taxing on your shoulders and your wrists. So starting with that warm up to make sure that you're nice and lubricated and ready to go. The 3-2-1 that I'm working on is I like to teach 3 sun salutation A's, 2 sun salutation B's, and 1 moon salutation. And by that time, a lot of my students are sweating, but we're ready to go and ready to tackle some of the more intense postures that I would put in a class.
So what exactly is sun salutation A and sun salutation B?
Sun salutation A, the sun salutations are really kind of a building block on a class. So it's going to open pretty much everything up. It's going to stretch. It's going to help you set that foundation. It's going to warm up all of the muscles and open up the joints that you need to be able to perform some of the next steps in the class.
So when did you start practicing yoga actually, and how was your first experience of doing it?
So I started my first experience with yoga. I went with a friend who she was practicing, and then she went on to teach at a library, and the classes were free at the time. So I only went to one. I thought it was boring. So I didn't go back for maybe about 5 years or so. And then, but the class that I started to go to was a weekly class in my big box gym, my LA Fitness. And I was powerlifting at the time. I was a USPA competitive powerlifter. And my classes that I would go to just once a week, I loved them and I wanted more. And then my gym closed. And so then I had the opportunity to do more. So there's an app that I was using, the Yoga Collective. And there are a ton of really, really good teachers and classes that are on there. So with that app, I was able to start with a beginner level 1 and progress all the way up through level 3. And at about that point, I started to feel really, really confident in what I was learning and what I was practicing, and started to want to practice outside. So started doing that, and I didn't want to have the technology with me, so when you're out in nature, that's my favorite place to practice is outside, and my favorite place to teach is outside. So started practicing outside and trying to do it without the guidance of the app. And then I started putting together my own classes and teaching my son and some friends. And then, so I'm practicing every single day. And then in January 2021, when I sold my house, I was looking for travel to book, wanted some meaningful travel, and I knew that I was going to go to Colombia. And so I did a search for yoga and Colombia, and I found a yoga teacher training in Barranquilla, Colombia, and it was called Akasha Yoga School. So I booked that, became the yoga teacher, and have been teaching since.
That's an interesting journey you've had. So, what,
Yeah.
what are some health benefits of practicing yoga on a regular basis?
Number one, stress reduction. In addition to the physical, the feeling light and limber, and your body is not all tense, and a lot of times, and I mean, I see myself doing this now, as we sit at our desk or as we use our smartphones, where everything is kind of constricted, where after a yoga practice everything is opened up, and your body feels young and free. But the number one thing that I really, really love about yoga is the mental clarity and the stress reduction.
That's great. Now, during menstruation, do you believe it is safe for women to practice yoga, or are there any certain yoga postures that could perhaps relieve, period cramps?
So when I was in my training, we touched on this topic, and I don't have, I don't know that there is a cut and dry or a black and white answer on this. I think that it's based on the woman's body and how you feel. So if it feels good, do it. And so, do I have any recommended postures? A lot of times, women, when we are menstruating, we have cramps. So, and they're typically like a lower back cramp. So, postures like child's pose is a really good one to just relieve everything, and it really targets the lower back. So, I would say child's pose would be a really good one for a woman if she's menstruating, to just get down there on the floor and just be.
So, is sunrise the only ideal time to do yoga, or are there any differences in practicing yoga during different hours of a day?
So it's my preference to do it first thing in the morning, simply because my stomach is empty. There's nothing else that's going to get in the way. You get up in the morning and you dedicate that time to yourself. But if you're not a morning person, you may not want to wake up in the morning just to practice yoga. So you bring yoga to the student. And so if the student wants yoga in the evening, and that's when they're most productive and they feel most energetic, then have them do it in the evening.
That's great. So, what are some basic postures that a beginner shall start from, or as a yoga teacher, what are some postures that you would recommend for a beginner to start with?
Well, I would recommend, if you have access to YouTube, to look up sun salutations, because it is a lot of the basic postures. So it's mountain pose. It's you're going to get into your planks, which is going to be strengthening. You have your downward facing dog, and that's a really good one to stretch. And it's supposed to be a resting pose. When you're first starting, it doesn't feel like a resting pose sometimes to people, but so downward facing dog is a good one. And then I love warrior series. Going through even a warrior one, which high lunge is a better, I think, alternative than warrior one, but the warriors 1, 2, 3. And then, like I said, the sun salutations are really good for beginners to get started. But one of the biggest things to note is core strength within yoga is really it's something that you build, but it's something you should focus on. So if you, outside of yoga, if you can do something to help with your practice, doing a core routine, maybe a 15-minute core routine 3 days a week or something, just to really strengthen your core.
That's great. Lastly, what do you think this world needs the most?
Love.
Love. That is sweet.
Love. And I think, and I say love, I fully believe that. And when you have a consistent yoga practice, you really begin to learn more about yourself and love yourself, and you can love everyone around you and all the environment around you. You appreciate so much more about life. So, love.
Right. So on that beautiful note, we have come to the end of the session. Hope you all enjoyed
Okay.
the session. And how was it for you, ma'am?
Oh, I loved it. I love talking about yoga and sharing my journey. And beginners are actually my favorite to teach. So hopefully this is helpful for a beginner who may want to get started, and know that you may not like it like yoga whenever you first start out, but and it may be really hard for you, but keep going with it, and you'll reach your goals as much as you work for them.
Right. So on that note, I would like to thank you for joining us today at Morning Laziness and answering all our questions patiently. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.